What if I told you your first 3 clients already know you? It's not your talent, your offer, or even your price that's the problem. The problem is that you're invisible to them. There's a wall, a transparent yet incredibly solid wall, between you and the people who need you right now. In this video, I won't give you a list of 50 tips you'll forget by tomorrow. I'm going to tell you a story, inspired by real events, and reveal the 7-step invisible wall method. It's a concrete strategy you can start applying as soon as this video ends to find your first clients. Not in 6 months. Quickly. So stick around until the end, because the 7th step is what turns a stroke of luck into a sustainable system. Let's dive in. Chapter 1, Realizing the Wall. Let me tell you about Alex. Alex is a fictional name, but his story is that of thousands of talented people just starting out. Alex was a brilliant web developer. He had spent months honing his skills, building a stunning portfolio with personal projects complex enough to run a small startup. He had followed all the advice. He created a flawless website, optimized for SEO, with a blog and a detailed services page. He even invested the little money he had in online ads, meticulously targeting his ideal client. The result? Zero. Absolutely nothing. Silence. Every day, he'd log in, heart pounding, to check his emails, messages, and statistics. And every day, it was the same emptiness. His website visitor counter stagnated, and the ads devoured his budget without generating a single lead. He felt like he was shouting into a canyon and hearing no echo. Frustration turned into self-doubt. What if it wasn't for him? What if he wasn't good enough? He was on the verge of giving up, convinced there was a secret no one had revealed to him. He spent his days searching for the latest trendy prospecting technique, the ultimate new hack to find clients. He was lost in an ocean of information, searching for a life raft that never appeared. The invisible wall was there, all around him, and he couldn't even see it. He thought the problem was external, that clients were distant strangers he had to hunt for online. He was completely mistaken. The problem and the solution were much closer than he imagined. And it was an ordinary conversation, one weeknight, that caused the first crack in that wall. The first brick began to tremble, and nothing would ever be the same. Chapter 2, The Arsenal Inventory. That fateful evening, Alex was having dinner at his uncle's place. A typical family dinner. In the middle of the conversation, his uncle asked him, without really thinking much of it, "So, Alex, how are things going with your computer work? What exactly are you doing now?" Usually, Alex would have given a vague "oh, I make websites," for fear of bothering people, for fear of coming across as someone trying to sell something to his own family. But that evening, exhausted by weeks of failures, he simply replied with honesty, "I started my own business creating websites for small businesses, but to be frank, I'm struggling to find my first clients." His uncle, who had run a small Italian restaurant for 20 years, raised his eyebrows. "Oh really? That's funny, because my restaurant's website is a disaster. It was made 10 years ago, and it doesn't even work on phones. I was just telling your aunt last week that I needed to find someone to redo it, but I don't know who to trust." Alex was speechless. For months, he had searched for clients on the other side of the world, while a potential client, who trusted him, was sitting right across from him, at the same table. The invisible wall had just taken its first major crack. He understood something fundamental. He was searching in the dark with a flashlight, when the room was already lit. He just hadn't opened his eyes. That night, he didn't sleep. He took a blank sheet of paper and began what I call the arsenal inventory. He listed everyone he knew. Not just his close family. His friends, friends of friends, former classmates, former colleagues, members of his sports club, the local shopkeeper, the family doctor. The list grew longer, quickly exceeding 50, then 100 names. Each of these names was a potential door. Each of these people lived in the real world, had real problems, and knew other people. Making this list is the first step. But that's not all, because a raw list is useless. You now need to activate it, and that's where most people fail, paralyzed by the fear of bothering people. Chapter 3, The Anti-Sale Offer. Once the list was established, a new fear gripped Alex. The fear of coming across as a pushy salesperson. How could he contact these people without sounding desperate? How could he tell them about his business without them feeling obligated to buy something from him? The mere thought of sending a message like, "Hi, I'm a web developer, if you need a website, think of me," gave him cold sweats. It was impersonal, clumsy, and it put the other person in an uncomfortable position. He understood that he had to change his approach completely. He shouldn't sell. He should help. So he developed what I call the anti-sale offer. The idea is simple: contact the person not to ask them for something, but to offer them something, with no expectation of anything in return. He selected 3 people from his list. A former university classmate who had just launched her cooking blog. A neighbor who owned a small plumbing business. And a friend of his father who was a photographer. He personalized each message. For his classmate, he wrote, "Hi Sarah, hope you're doing well. I stumbled upon your new cooking blog, the photos are stunning. What you're doing is really great. FYI, I've started my own business as a web developer. Looking at your site, I noticed the image loading time was a bit slow, which can frustrate visitors. If you're interested, I can give you 1 or 2 super quick tips to optimize it, with no strings attached. I'd be happy to help. Keep up the great work." The difference is enormous. He asks for nothing. He starts with a sincere compliment. He shows he's looked at her work. He identifies a potential problem and offers a simple, free solution. He positions himself as a friendly expert, not a hungry salesperson. For his plumber neighbor, the approach was similar. He noticed his phone number wasn't clickable on the mobile version of his site, a detail that causes lost calls. He sent him a message to gently point it out. This approach changed the dynamic. He was no longer a solicitor, but an ally. He offered value before even thinking about receiving any. And replies started to come in. But beware, a mistake here can ruin everything. It's good to offer help, but then you have to prove that you can actually help. And that's what we'll see in the 4th step, the most crucial of all. Chapter 4, Demolition by Proof. Sarah, his former classmate with the cooking blog, replied a few hours later. "Hi Alex. Thanks so much for your message, that's super kind. Yes, I know my site is a bit slow, but I have no idea how to fix it." It was the moment of truth. Alex could have replied with a long technical text, or worse, a quote. That's what 99% of people would have done. But he applied demolition by proof. The goal isn't to talk, but to show. To give such a powerful taste of his skills that the client convinces herself. He replied, "No problem. Just send me one of the photos you use on your blog. I'll show you something in 5 minutes that will change the game." Sarah, intrigued, sent him a magnificent chocolate cake photo, a very large file. Alex used a free online tool to compress the image without visible loss of quality. He reduced its weight from 4 megabytes to 400 kilobytes. A 10-fold reduction. He sent both versions back to Sarah, saying, "Look. On the left, your original photo. On the right, the optimized version. Do you see a difference in quality? Now, imagine all the photos on your site loading 10 times faster." The radio silence lasted about a minute. Then Sarah's reply came through. "Wow. That's incredible. I didn't know that was possible. Tell me, do you do complete blog redesigns? Because I feel like mine needs a lot more than just that." Boom. He had just found his first client. Not through a Facebook ad. Not through an over-optimized blog post. But by solving a small problem, for free, in a spectacular way. He didn't need to convince her. His demonstration did all the work. He transformed a friendly conversation into a concrete opportunity, simply by providing immediate value. He replaced promise with proof. The invisible wall separating him from that first yes had just collapsed. And this is just the beginning, because this first client is the key that will open all the other doors. This is where the real secret is revealed, because this first client is the spark that will trigger the domino effect. Chapter 5, The Domino Effect. So Alex worked on Sarah's blog. He didn't just do the requested work. He did exceptional work. He gave it his all. He optimized every aspect of the site, making it faster, more beautiful, and easier to use. He communicated with her regularly. He was proactive. He wanted his first project to be a resounding success, not just a done job. At the end of the project, Sarah was absolutely thrilled. She sent him an enthusiastic message. "Alex, this is great. My site has never been so fast, and I'm already getting positive feedback from my readers. Thanks a million." It's at this precise moment that most people make a mistake. They reply, "You're welcome, glad you like it," send the invoice, and move on, returning to square one, in a desperate search for the next client. Alex, however, applied the fifth step, triggering the domino effect. He replied, "I'm super happy with the result, and I really enjoyed working with you on this project. Tell me, just out of curiosity, in your network of bloggers or creators, do you know one or two people who also complain about their website or might need similar help?" This question is magic. It's simple, direct, and it comes at the perfect moment, when the client is happiest and most satisfied. It's not an aggressive ask. It's a natural extension of the conversation. Sarah, in the euphoria of her new site, didn't hesitate for a second. "Oh, absolutely. I immediately think of Chloe and Julian. Their blogs are even slower than mine was. I can give them your contact if you like. I'll tell them you did incredible work for me." In 1 week, Alex went from 0 clients and 0 leads to 1 satisfied client and 2 highly qualified leads. Why qualified? Because they didn't come out of nowhere. They came with a warm recommendation from a trusted person. The conversation with Chloe and Julian didn't start with "Hello, who are you?" It started with "Hello, Sarah told me you were a magician." The invisible wall was collapsing. But for the domino effect to run at full capacity and not just be a stroke of luck, there's one last crucial thing to put in place to solidify its foundations. Chapter 6: Crystallization of Value. Alex now had leads, but he still didn't have solid social proof to show them, apart from word of mouth. His portfolio consisted of personal, theoretical projects. He lacked the element that turns a maybe into a definitive yes, concrete proof of real success for a real client. This is the crystallization of value stage. It's not just about finishing a project, but about capturing its essence and success to leverage it for the future. Immediately after receiving Sarah's thank you message, and even before asking her for recommendations, he asked her another simple question. "Sarah, would you mind writing a few lines about your experience working with me? It would help me tremendously going forward." Of course, she gladly accepted. She wrote him an authentic and glowing testimonial. But Alex didn't stop there. He created a very simple, 1-page document. At the top, he put a screenshot of Sarah's old blog, with the title, "The Challenge, a captivating blog held back by slow performance." Just below, he put a screenshot of the new site, with the title, "The Solution, a complete redesign focused on speed and user experience." He listed 3 or 4 key points of his intervention: image optimization, browser caching, improved responsive design. And at the very bottom, prominently, he put Sarah's photo with her testimonial. This 1-page document became his most powerful weapon. When Chloe and Julian, the 2 recommended leads, contacted him, his response was simple. After a brief discussion, he told them, "To give you a concrete idea of my work, here's a short case study on the project I just completed for your friend Sarah." The impact was immediate. It was no longer an abstract portfolio. It was the story of a transformation. They could see the before and the after. They read the words of someone they knew and trusted. The sale was made before he even discussed pricing. This document wasn't just proof of his work, it was proof that he understood a real problem and knew how to solve it for real people. And now, here's the most important point, the keystone that will make this method sustainable and not just a stroke of luck. Chapter 7: Systematizing Contact. After a few weeks, Alex had signed on with his uncle, Sarah, Chloe, and Julian. He had 4 clients. He had gone from total frustration to a schedule that was starting to fill up. The danger, at this stage, is to get overwhelmed by work, stop prospecting altogether, and find himself back at square one once the projects are finished. This is the vicious cycle many experience, feast or famine. Alex realized that his biggest mistake early on wasn't just looking in the wrong place. It was his passivity. He waited for the world to come to him. The invisible wall method had shown him that it was up to him to initiate contact, but in a smart and human way. So he decided to systematize this process. He blocked out an hour in his schedule, twice a week. Tuesday mornings and Thursday afternoons. Those 2 hours were sacred. It was his invisible wall hour. During that hour, he didn't work for his clients. He worked for his future. What did he do? Firstly, he continued to grow his list. Every new person he met, every new contact was added. Secondly, he went through his list and chose 1 or 2 people he hadn't spoken to in a long time, just to check in, genuinely, without expecting anything. Thirdly, he applied the anti-sale offer. He looked at what his contacts were doing and, if he saw an opportunity to help, he sent a friendly message, just like he had done for Sarah. And fourthly, he systematically followed up with his satisfied former clients, asking them from time to time if they had any new recommendations. By transforming this search into a system, into a habit, he eliminated the fear of the blank page. He no longer needed to wonder, how do I find clients today? He had a clear, simple, and repeatable process. He understood that finding his first clients wasn't a desperate sprint, but a marathon of small, regular, and benevolent conversations. He never had to spend a dime on advertising during his first year. All his clients came from this system. The invisible wall no longer existed, because he had learned to tear it down brick by brick, conversation by conversation. To summarize, what separates you from your first clients isn't a big marketing secret. It's a wall you've built yourself, a wall made of fear, doubt, and overcomplication. To tear it down, the method is simple and unfolds in 7 steps. 1. Realize that your first clients are closer than you think, they're in your existing circles. 2. Inventory your arsenal, list everyone you know. 3. Use the anti-sale offer, propose to help, not to sell. 4. Demolish doubts with proof, offer a tangible and quick result, even for free. 5. Trigger the domino effect, systematically ask happy clients for referrals. 6. Crystallize value by turning every success into a story, a testimonial, a case study. And finally, 7. The most important, systematize contact, make this method a regular habit, not a desperate action. The only thing that truly separates you from your first clients isn't your talent, your website, or your business cards. It's the courage to start a conversation. To sincerely offer your help. The wall is in your head, and you now have the 7 hammers to tear it down. Start today. Choose 1 person from your list. Just 1. And send them a message to help them. Make sure to save this video so you don't forget. Don't forget to subscribe.